Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Mias, and this is going to be another one of those pro tips videos, so I hope you guys are ready to learn and improve, increase your win rate, avoid misplays completely, outplay your opponent, and actually learn things that you had no idea actually were a thing in this game before, because honestly, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is one of the games with the most complicated, intricate rulings out there, and sometimes you might not even understand rulings, you just kind of memorize interactions, but when you come in, across a really complicated situation, you don't really know how to resolve it. So my goal is to present you with as many tools as possible to help you solve these problems, and the only thing I ask for in exchange would be to like and subscribe, because it motivates me a lot to keep making videos like these. And yeah, let's jump into tip number one. So assuming that your opponent has something like double Widow Anchor, for example, what happens if you go normal summon a monster that has an effect, and then they go Widow Anchor and you chain Book of Moon? We're actually going to find out. So naturally, if you flip your monster and it goes face down, or if it gets returned back to your hand, or if it gets destroyed, then obviously it won't get fully negated. Widow Anchor would have targeted, but it wouldn't have resolved on a monster on the field because it's not treated as the same monster anymore. Now, if you actually Book of Moon, it's kind of different. It's not exactly what you might think, because even if your opponent has 10 billion other Widow Anchors that uses right after, look at this. My core clearly got negated successfully, but then it goes into face down, and do you think I get the search, or do you think I don't? Because it clearly got negated, you saw that, right? And the answer is, your core actually does get the search, because flipping your monster face down is one of, it's literally the only exception in which your monster can randomly still, completely trigger, even though it was negated after. For example, if you go Compulse, or if you try to destroy your own monster, if your opponent goes Widow Anchor after, you won't actually get the search. But Book of Moon is actually really good at forcing your way through interruptions. So there was a time, I think Nats 2019 or something, I forgot, I told my friends Book of Moon is extremely good against Sky Striker, and people thought I was an idiot. They were like, bro, you can't even use it. Ray is... it'll always tag out with its quick effect, and then obviously Link monsters cannot be face down. So I don't understand why Book of Moon would be good, but it was because of plays like this. My opponent only has Widow Anchors. His other interruptions would be like Imperm and stuff like that, or Veiler or Hand Traps, but Book of Moon literally allows you to play through every single one of them, and you can guarantee that your monster resolves. And under a lot of situations, you might not really kind of understand why that would be important, but let's just say you have a Chimera Tech Rampage Dragon that used 5 materials with Cyber Fusion, your opponent has 5 Imperms and or Widow Anchors on the field. I don't care. You can have all the hand traps in the world. I genuinely don't care. The only way you can stop that would be like with Solemn Strike or Gamma. Something that actually, I mean, it's literally the only way you can actually negate me. But apart from that, yep, no, Book of Moon is just so good at forcing your way through interruptions. But Compulse and, I guess, again, destroying your own monster would actually also be a way to do it. But anyways, that's it for tip number 1. Let's get into the next one. Alright, I can see so many people mess up this one. So let's just say you have Twin Twister and whatever, any card, your opponent has one back row, a random Tenki on the field, and then a Drancia. What would you actually do? Like, what would you actually do? You would go Twin Twister, discard, destroy 2 back row, right? Right. That's what you would do. It seems normal because Twin Twister allows you to destroy up to 2 cards. So why would you only try to destroy 1 card? It would make no sense. Well, it does make sense. There is a card called Starlight Road, and that is not the only card that can only activate itself specifically when you're trying to destroy 2 or more cards. It's not really if your opponent activates a card that could, in theory, destroy 2 or more cards. It's specifically that would destroy 2 or more cards you control, negate, and then summon Stardust Dragon. So it completely goes downhill from there. And I can promise you that back in Zodiac format 2017, people were messing up a lot, because Twin Twister was the only back row removal that was actually massive. Lightning Storm, Duster evenly didn't exist back then, and Starlight Road was ridiculously strong because of that. And you could also protect yourself from Regeki and Dark Hole and stuff like that, and these cards were really good, again, ironically, because right now they suck. And people will always try to destroy your random Tenkis, but they do nothing. All they do is make your monsters gain 100. Are you really afraid of that? I mean, come on. So obviously, if you really want to play it safe and completely minimize the potential of your opponent randomly just beating you with a weird card. It's not just Starlight Road. I think there's another card called The Huge Revolution is Over. Kind of functions the same way, in a way. But if you don't want to give your opponent a chance to win, then just only destroy one card, and you should be fine. Yeah, just don't destroy Tenki, and that's it. Your graph, whatever, would resolve, and then, yeah, and then you're not losing the game from there. Obviously, Twin Twister is just, like, the perfect example for this situation, but there could be other scenarios in which this could actually come up completely different. But anyways, that's it for this one. Let's get into the next one. Alright, so basically, if you have Artifact Lancia, and you know for a fact that your opponent could actually banish cards on, you know, a shotgun of main phase 1 as a cost, for example, do you really want to hold your Lancia until they actually kind of start playing the game, or do you want to actually shotgun it? Well, shotgunning your Lancia actually has a lot of, you know, benefits, because not only are you preventing your opponent from using a card like Desires, because the actual effect of Desires doesn't banish cards, it just draws 2 cards. So by the time they actually put Desires on the field, they already banished 10 cards, and your Lancia is just useless at this point. And to make matters worse, if you're doing that, then it has to be on main phase, and then 3 Tactical Talents can be used, and you don't really want that. You definitely don't want to allow them to have the 3 Tactical Talents that could actually punish you completely, make you lose another card, or even worse, they could actually draw 2 cards and then combo off and just do as if this never happened. So if you really want to skip your opponent's turn, which is kind of supposed to be what Lancia even does, you should actually use shotgun it on draw phase or standby, kind of like the same thing, and then your opponent's draw cards, so Prosperity, Extravagance, Desires, as well as triple Tactic Talents are completely useless. So again, if you want to play it safe, and if you just can feel like you can kill your opponent next turn, this is the optimal way to do it. So that's it for this one. Let's get into the next one. Alright, so I'm actually facing up against, you know, something that could actually be really scary. Masquerena with another link too, so you can already see that this is the giant Mechanite Crusadia Avermax, the really scary one, the full power one, so it cannot be destroyed by opponent's card effects, and naturally it cannot be targeted, and when your opponent tries to attack over it by battle, it'll gain a lot of attack. So how do you even out this efficiently in pretty much any deck? Well, don't worry, there's obviously a way, even if you don't have access to Zeus, either because you can't afford the card, or because the deck that you're playing just literally cannot play it, or you simply don't have a way to kind of attack directly, or like attack over Avermax and then just not be destroyed by battle, because obviously not everyone is a Marshmallow. Well, don't worry, because there is kind of like a generic way, quote-unquote, and you're going to see this right now, and ironically, Burning Abyss is probably the best deck to do this. So it's actually going to be Dante in the extra monster zone, so you can actually make Gravity Controller. This is like a 3-in-1 literally, because you're actually triggering your Burning Abyss effect, so you can revive back the Dante and have a BA in your hand, which is perfect because now we can discard it to summon Beatrice, and you already know what happens when you summon Beatrice. You can technically also crash the Beatrice and summon Purple Dante, which is actually a better card, ironically, than yeah, Purple Dante would be even a better card than Beatrice. But anyways, Gravity Controller, when it attacks, is basically kind of like a Neospatian Grand Mole in the extra monster zone, and then in the main monster zone, it's a Marshmallow, so it cannot be destroyed by battle. And as you can see, that's it. I'm not targeting, I'm not destroying, and also your monster isn't being sent to the graveyard, which is one of the most important parts, because if it was, then you would be able to use the effect of Crusadia Avermax to target a card. Oh, sorry, I don't even think it targets. It's just shuffle a card your opponent controls into the deck. And my Dante would have been shuffled back into the deck. I would have had like a Seer in my hand. Wouldn't have done too much, but yeah, this is just the absolute perfect way to deal with such an annoying, problematic monster and still end on, you know, the monster that I really wanted to end with. Because if you went for the Zeus approach, your Zeus would have been shuffled up in the extra deck, exactly like I said, because you would have sent the Avermax to the graveyard by a card effect. And in this instance, my opponent had to roll, but I'm not really trying to search from my deck to my hand, so Happy Land City. Anyways, let's get into the next one. And also the last one. So in this instance, it's actually going to be my turn. I have Eldritch and a trap card. Should I actually try to use the effect to send my opponent's card to the graveyard, or should I not? That's kind of a tricky one, right? Well, the thing is, even though this card is still at 1 because it's limited, you should still respect it. And I see a lot of people who just don't really think too much when they use the effect of Eldritch. Like, what do you have to be afraid of? Are you really afraid of your opponent has like having a Heavy Storm Duster? Because the other trap cards wouldn't be really scary, but usually when your opponent sets exactly 1 card, they're not playing a trap deck. You can kind of tell yourself that. So maybe they're playing a combo deck, but they're only setting 1 card because they bricked, and all they really have is the Called by the Grave. You have to start making connections in your brain, and obviously it's not an imperm. You have that confirmation for like 100%, because if it was an imperm, it would have stayed in their hand. They wouldn't have set one pass. Obviously, because imperm on the field and imperm in the hand is the same thing when you have nothing else on the field. So it has to be a Call by the Grave. Even though it's still a one of, you're still going to face this situation 1 game out of 7. And if you go Eldritch Effect from the hand just to get eaten by a card Called by the Grave, well, yeah, it's going to be pretty dreadful. And then even then, your other trap card is also in danger. It could get DD Crowed or stuff like that. So, you know, you were in the driver's seat. You could have just played it out a bit slower, a bit safer, not really used up all of your resources aggressively, and your opponent's card wouldn't have been that powerful on you. And then, obviously, now they can unbrick and kind of kill you because you don't really have that Conquistador as an interruption. Could have been an interruption depending on what kind of other cards that you have in your hand. But again, this is just trying to optimize our gameplay with the given scenario. But that's all I had to say, really, for this pro tip video. You guys have any comments, feedback, suggestions, anything, please let me know in the comment section below. It would be a pleasure for me to, I don't know, just kind of make your dreams come true and potentially also review your deck list in case you want it to be reviewed. Remember that the Discord link is in the description box below. And till then, I will see you next time. Peace.